Ron, Ken Pfalzgraf here. Thank you. I know that the CSBA training is 5 3/4 days. It's never in Acton. It's somewhere in Fontana or something like that. And having the commitment to that, it's basically blowing your entire weekend to go 5 weekends in a row. That is difficult. And then furthermore, I've seen some people go to the CSBA training and feel that their independence as a board member is being usurped, and everyone is taught to just bow to the superintendent regardless of the efficacy of that position. So I appreciate you covered everything, and thank you for being here this evening. I have something. Ron, since you didn't do that, would you just describe your experience as a lawyer, start to finish, please? So would it be accurate that the Orange County Office of Education is comparable to the Los Angeles County Office of Education? Would that be at least? Yeah. Yeah. And I think you said you were the head legal counsel for that organization. Right. So you moved up pretty fast to be the dude that they send when things get heavy and people are suing the County Office of Education. I would think that after 34 years, if you weren't a good counsel, you wouldn't have survived past that. So, yeah, that kind of speaks to why I don't have very many questions for you, Counselor. Thank you. Ms. Shaw, you were brought in here to lead organizational excellence and diverse and new programs. Your timing was superintendent change outs, and I think you've been dealing with a lot of baggage that's been going on, and I'm not sure you're ever able to realize the vision you had for the school district. I'd like to apologize for anything anyone has ever said from that dais or up here that was derogatory to you or your character. I've been nothing but pleased with you. The Tulsa team that you've built before you got here, we have to look at the signature programs that are on the district webpage and realize that those programs, whether they were built by the superintendent team or whatever, it took some effort. There wasn't a lot of noise and bragging and things like that. And so those programs have been rolled out, and to just put them on the webpage and call it an accomplishment, that's not anything. It's a measurable accomplishment. And all the things that are out there that are running every day that are a success, there's somebody out there in this district that's staff that's making that happen. It's not just a title on the page. I've been a veteran of a lot of back there. I know what you've had to deal with personally. I congratulate you for your candor and your temperament. Again, my wish for you is that you would have been focused on things other than HR, whatever we're trying to call that around here. I think one of the best things that you've supported is, personally for me, the life skills program that you've developed at the high school is going to become critical to the district's budget and our exposure, so we don't have to have Ron up here and his team back there when we're talking about the most vulnerable kids in our community. If I were to vote to release you tonight, my vote would be no. Thank you, Kim Shaw. Okay, speaking of lynch mobs and the community lynch mobs, I'm a survivor of a community lynch mob and assault of rubber ducks as well. I'll start my comments by thanking Dr. Chamberlain and Ms. Van Ornum. The closeout of the school year was awesome. I think everybody felt comfortable. I think there was a lot of attention given to kids that were kind of maybe struggling at the end to get to the end of the line. And I appreciate that the school year closed with celebrations rather than chaos. Thank you very much. Ms. Saucedo, if you're out there, thank you for championing the kickoff of the summer school program, the extended school year program. That's important to some of the most vulnerable kids in our community, but also kids that are trying to do credit recovery, and that's huge to everybody's dignity coming back and being in the next grade with your peers and having your confidence back. So thank you very much for that. Okay, about this battery thing. I sat up here for the better part of almost 2 years with people coming in telling me, well, you're going to do this and you're going to force this. I'm not going to do any of that. It never hit the light of day. I told you it wouldn't hit the agenda. Someone sitting up here, and I'm an opponent to this, and I'll tell you flat out, I don't sit here and tell him what to put on the agenda. I asked for floor space and mentioned floor space, and it showed up a discussion last board meeting, and so staff, as the attorney will tell you, will put things on the agenda that are pertinent. I personally would not put this on the agenda. It has nothing to do with the school. The school will not take anything from anyone, and anyone that's sending the school district offers and letters, those are all publicly discoverable. But at the end of the day, the Acton Town Council is the advisory committee that deals with the county. We don't deal with the county of Los Angeles. We deal with the County Office of Education. And I'm not sure what our attorney would say about us diving in the middle of it and taking a position. There is no position. None of these things are to be put on school grounds. None of them. And the Acton Town Council, through their efforts, I don't get involved in the hoopla and everybody yelling and berating each other on television. I watch the county supervisor's meeting, and if you watch that, the county supervisor backtracked very quickly on Acton. Her comments were, it doesn't belong in Acton. Well, just like the high-speed rail, we got these people saying, bring it through Palmdale because it'll create 38,000 jobs. And then at the end of the day, there's a lot more when the construction worker goes and buys a pack of Marlboros at the 7-Eleven, right? So we don't want to forget about that little fragment. So we've got economy to drive, we've got jobs to drive, and then there's the people on the Acton Town Council that start throwing a fit and get her to say, I'm not sure Acton is the place. My reasoning behind it is if Acton's not the place, how's a more populous area the place? My big concern in the business I'm in, if you haven't seen Hoover Dam lately and you haven't seen the lake, I think what's happening is the generation capacity of that dam, when the water gets too low, the lights go out. And I think somebody's trying to get ahead of that really quickly by putting up whatever. I'm surprised they ain't got kids running generators off their bicycles by now. I'm not going to support any discussion of this at any level. I will be completely irate when I find out somebody's trying to grease their way in here. This does not belong here. Now my questions would be this, since we're going to give our little board members scientific comments. I will tell you this, from what I understand, that battery bank, one of them is situated between the 14 freeway and Soledad Canyon Road. It ends at a place that's barely as wide as this room. It's also my understanding that Union Pacific Railway hauls all kinds of unknown substances in cars that go over, I don't know how far away it is, it's less than a quarter of a mile. So, I mean, if you want a disaster to happen, it's right there. It makes no sense to me. But again, Jackie, to you, this stuff gets approved through county process, and then nobody's coming and saying, hey, Jackie, here's kind of the impact upon you. You have to discover it for yourself. You have to use your own personal skill set, which I have personally admired for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden, we're talking about particulate availability and stuff and on mines and God knows what. But at the end of the day, I find it appalling that you have to be criticized and held out in poor regard to the masses just because you'll give your time to stand up. I'm going to say we need to get a statement from the school, the district's attorney to ask what is our place in this and what is not our place in this, and whether it's appropriate that we show support for the Acton Town Council's position in opposition, because it's just obvious safety hazard to me. I don't know what else to say. It's pretty clear. Keep fighting, Jackie. Thank you. Democracy in the work environment, that's not something I'm familiar with, but thank you for sharing. I had some questions for Ms. Lepp, but she took care of that, didn't she? What a smart individual. But I've checked with my two consultants. You're welcome for me bringing these two in here to explain and answer all your questions. Bravo to you two. Only I will ask this question. There's no surprises for Acton in this, right? My parents are going to have to get an attorney to discover that I'm trying to identify as a kitten or anything like that, right?
Right.
Good, thank you.